been. Let's go across to our panel of guests. Joining me on the show, Braj Gupta, educationist and chief mentor at GiantStep, Bangalore in Karnataka. Vitika Rahul, an education counsellor. Advocate Anubha Srivastava Sahai, president of India-wide Parents Association, and Dr. P.K. Agrawal, a former bureaucrat. Mr. Gupta, like I was saying, the last 2 years have undoubtedly been extraordinary. We've been through a once-in-a-century pandemic which impacted everyone, including students. Currently there is talk about how the class 12 CBSE exams ended only in the month of June. NEET UG may clash with CUET. Also, there are floods happening in many different parts of the country. So there is no doubt that there are plenty of challenges that the students and medical aspirants are faced with. But then the counter-argument to that could be that you cannot go on deferring these important exams. Certain timelines have to be stuck to, certain deadlines have to be met, else everything goes into disarray. How would you respond?
Thank you. We have to understand that there is a rot. Education has to be taken very seriously. My learned panelist was rightly saying that we are not ready for it. Now the question is there has to be a proper rostrum. We have to have strategic planning beforehand. It did not happen all of a sudden. We knew that both the exams were coming. Why is there a need on the part of the students to knock at the door of judiciary? Education has to be taken seriously. Today is a Guru Purnima, a very auspicious day. It is not enough to be celebrating it. How will education improve the quality of people in this country has to be thought over. If we want to be compared with countries like Finland, Netherlands, Norway, that will be possible only when there is a certain amount of planning in place. I feel this is pathetic. We cannot accept this in a country like India, where education has been given due importance right from the ancient days. We need better planning so as to organize the exams. As regards deferring the exam, I think that is not correct. We have to go with the exam, but it raises serious doubt with regard to the preparation of the government as well as of the educational institutions.
That's a good argument you've made and a nuanced position you've taken, Mr. Gupta. Vitika, do you agree with Mr. Braj Gupta, who says, yes, education unfortunately hasn't really been given its due in this country. Our governments haven't taken it as seriously as they should have. There's been a lot of suffering for students, especially in the last 2 years. The planning has been very poor. It's not as if we didn't know that these exams, two simultaneous exams would be coming up. Therefore, there should have been better preparedness. But at the same time, he says, deferment is not necessarily the answer. Yes, the students are faced with a tough challenge right now, but then how long can you go on deferring these important exams, which, like I said, throw the entire timeline into complete disarray? Mr. Gupta, Anubha is making a couple of points. Very quickly, she says, not only have the students not had enough time to prepare, many of them are currently encountering a flood-like situation in their respective states. Plus, the admit cards should have been issued much earlier. And she also makes a larger point. She says that while those who've been affiliated with boards like the CBSE may be prepared for exams like NEET and JEE, but students of state boards usually tend to suffer. The very structure of NEET exam is such that it is discriminatory towards students of state boards, which is why states like Tamil Nadu have been protesting against NEET. Do you think there is merit in that argument?
All that I can say, students' interests should not be jeopardized. That's a very fair point. But the point remains, why is there a need for a new culture of knocking at the door of judiciary? Why is that happening? Point one. And how can that be stopped? We have to plan things well in advance, number one. Number two, there has to be a clear-cut message that this is the date of exam. Come what may, the exam will be held. Unless and until we are professional with regard to dealing with education in a country like India, where there are very many challenges. You see what is happening at Assam. Not only Gujarat, you see Assam. There are problems and those problems are very genuine. But those challenges need to be met. We cannot suspend the exam because that would jeopardize the interest of the larger number of students.
The challenges
That's-
need to be met. The interest of such a large number of students cannot be jeopardized. Some 18 lakh students are slated to appear for this exam. That is an important point Mr. Gupta is making. And he also says, don't set a wrong precedent. Don't expect the courts to decide the country's education policy. I think that's a perfect note to wrap up this discussion on. We don't know what the court will do tomorrow, but whatever time you have left on your hands, use it wisely. Study, prepare for those exams instead of spending all your time on Twitter and following what may or may not happen in the courts. I think that is certainly very, very good advice coming in from an education counselor. For all those who have to appear for this exam, yes, it is challenging, but we certainly hope that all of you fare well in this exam. Good luck to all those aspirants who are going to be writing these exams, and thank you very much to all my guests for joining me on the show. And thanks to the viewers.